Hi, Empress Justice here with the full moon in Ashlesha reading for the 5th of February 2023. Now, the full moon will hit its peak at 6:28 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time in the UK. And it will hit Ashlesha full moon, which is in Cancer, and it will also hit Shravana Sun and Maga Ascendant. Now, we're not just going to be talking about the full moon, as you know, that's not how we do things on this channel. I'm also going to be talking about the first 2 weeks of February, what to expect, and I'm also going to be talking about the third quarter moon in Vishaka. But without further ado, we're going to get started with the February Genesis. Okay, so February Genesis. This is from the 1st of February 2023 to Valentine's Day on the 14th of February 2023. Now, in the beginning of February, which is the 1st, we enter Mrigashira moon, Shravana sun, and Uttara Ashada ascendant, okay? And for the cards, we have the Ace of Coins from the In-Between Tarot. We have the King of Swords from Cats Rule the Earth, and we have the Progressors card, Gradual Progress from Sibyl's Oraculum. Okay, so what can all of this collectively tell us, astrologically and tarot-wise, about what to expect for the first 14 days of February? Well, what we can expect is that emotionally, we will gravitate towards what brings us joy, and it's not necessarily the simple joys of the body or the mind. It's slightly more elevated than that. What we're actually focused on is our core passions. What we're focused on is acting from the heart. Our physical bodies and our minds, if they don't feel connected to our passions, we feel like we're not doing it correctly. So when February begins, it begins on a Mercury day, and Mrigashira in Taurus is a Mars dominant nakshatra. So there's a lovely balance here already, which kind of sets the tone for the entire month. There's a lovely balance that wants to find our truest joys and properly utilize them towards developing a more sustained and organized life for ourselves. Now, the wonderful thing about Uttara Ashada ascendant in Capricorn and Shravana sun in Capricorn, the wonderful thing about those two is that they don't steer us away from our passions. They don't steer us away from our joy. Rather, they distill our search for joy and they distill our search for meaning. They're like, okay, this is good. It's a good thing that you want to focus on your joys. But what we're asking you to do is to narrow down that focus. What is it about your core joys and your core passions that won't just help you, but will help other people in the wider world as well? What is it about your core passions and talents that can be utilized towards the greater good? And once again, like I said, this sets the tone for February, which is absolutely beautiful. And I love it. Now, looking at the cards, with this right here, we've got financial opportunities. We've got new opportunities for learning experiences coming in. And we have the opportunities to learn new skills or rehash older ones. But when we come back to these skills, we may come back with more life experience than we had previously, and that will actually add to us learning new skills or add to us rehashing old ones. So we may have gained more life experience at this point, which will enable us to actually turn these former skills or these new skills into something sustainable. We may find that our finances ease up as well. Financially, this is set to be an easier month than January was, and I pointed that out in the February reading. Go check that out. So financially, this will be an easier month to deal with. Okay. Now with this right here, this represents all our experiences and all our knowledge brought together and congealed. I think I pointed out in the February 2023 reading that many people will have flashes of memory coming into their minds. Or I might have talked about one particular sign going through that, but the truth of the matter is that we all go through that, especially in the first 2 weeks. That is all our knowledge, all our discernment, basically condensing themselves and becoming more cohesive in order to form an expertise that is borderline unassailable. So there are things we know that other people don't know as well as us, and that's coming to the forefront. So on top of learning new skills, which also bring financial abundance with them, or conversely, it could be financial abundance that is responsible for the new learning experiences. So on top of this, our expertise that we already have is coming to the forefront as well. So there's a merge between the two. And then with this card right here, this is where Shravana comes in. So we've got Mrigashira being represented in this card because we're not only looking for our core joys, but we're finding them in material abundance that's coming our way. And once again, we get small glimpses. Like I said, in February 2023, we get small glimpses into into something that looks like heaven, into our own personal heaven is given to us in small glimpses. So that's what this represents, this card right here, Mrigashira in Taurus. This represents Uttara Ashada, because we're taking what we already know and merging it with our joys or with anything new that comes into our lives, and we're utilizing it towards a greater good. And then with this comes Shravana. Now, I find it ironic that this card actually shows us vocal cords, because Shravana is the nakshatra of the ear. You see, Shravana is the nakshatra of the ear, which means we are listening more than speaking. And Shravana encourages this anyway. We're listening more than speaking. We're observing more than acting. We're taking small steps each time towards a particular goal in which we can realize the full potential of our public life. So there's a gradual determination there. There's a real purpose about what we do in February, and especially in the first half of February. It's just that it's not confrontational necessarily. It's just that I'm determined to do my work in whatever way I can find to do it. I'm determined to do my work. I'm determined to, do whatever it is that I need to do. And we know we have to take things slowly. But once again, that frustration that we might feel, especially in the first half of February, instead of feeling like, oh my God, I can't take this shit, what we do instead is that we turn it towards something positive. And that might be the Mrigashira element of this, in not only working to discover our core joys and our core strengths, but also learning new skills and and finding new joys too. So this is a beautiful first half of February. This is absolutely lovely and adorable. So let's see what we can get from the notes before we move on. So from the notes, I've got take it step by step. You'll surely get there, which many of us are inclined to do anyway. Put a pin in many new financial opportunities and much success. Well, you heard it here first. So yeah, success is very, very likely at this time. And then we have new internship and learning experience. We have new bartering. And then we have juggling with money and work-home balance. I've done so many takes of this reading. And the one thing that I remember is that there will be a little bit of balance in terms of who does what. If you're the type of person to go out all the time, then you may stay indoors, do a bit more research. It is a universal year 7, so this is kind of the year for that. But for those who go out a lot, you might find yourselves staying in more, doing more reading, watching more documentaries, or watching more TV that's educational. If you're the type of person to stay in all the time, you might go out more. But regardless of what type of person you are and how you end up balancing your life out, you're doing it for the same reasons. You're doing it because you want to learn. The universal year 7 is about learning. So whatever it is that you end up doing, I don't care if you end up staying in more or going out more according to your personality. It is all about learning, and it is all about what? Joy, which is the entire purpose of the material realm anyway. It's about learning, it's about joy, and it's about will. So yeah, that was February Genesis. It's shaping up to be a great couple of weeks. And now I'm going to move on to the full moon in Ashlesha. And now we come to the moon of the moment. We come to the full moon in Ashlesha, which takes place on the 5th of February 2023. And it will reach its peak at 6:28 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, okay? Now, along with the full moon in Ashlesha, we have Maga Ascendant and Shravana Sun. Of the cards here, we have the Tower from the In-Between Tarot. We have the Three of Pentacles from Cats Rule the Earth. And we have Presidium, Defense, from Sibyl's Oraculum, okay? Now, before I get into the reading, I'm going to read the astrological placements, and I'm also going to read the notes of the cards to ascertain exactly what we should be expecting around the full moon. So for the notes, I've got the moon sextiling Rohini Mars and trining Uttara Bhadrapada Jupiter. Rohini is in Taurus, Uttara Bhadrapada is in Pisces. Okay, and we've got the moon opposing the sun, obviously, but we also have the moon opposing Saturn in Dhanishta in Aquarius, and we also have the moon squaring Barony in Uranus and Critica midheaven. And for the notes for these cards right here, we've got honor your truth by protecting all those who would attack it. Army, inevitable confrontation, helping the community, endless fighting, positive twist of fate, peace after conflict, expert team, young team, survival, caring for others, believing in others, inspiring others. Now, having this complete picture in front of me, what we should expect for the full moon is that much more of our energy will be conserved within our Kundalini, because both Ashlesha and Rohini represent the Kundalini energy, because the Rohini represents the male serpent, and Ashlesha's deities are the Nagas, which are the serpent gods of the underworld. So we may find that we conserve our riches more, we conserve our energies, we conserve our emotions, we conserve even our physical activity. And the result of all that is, on a positive side of things, we may find that we have more energy to do things than we usually do. We may find that we have more to work with in terms of our energetic output. We may find that we're not as fatigued as we usually are. Even though we have the burnout from January, we may find that during the full moon, we're not as fatigued as we could be, and we have more energy to do things because of the amount of energy being stored in our blood in particular. Because remember, both the moon and Mars are connected to the iron in our blood. Well, moon is connected to water and Mars is connected to iron, and blood is 90% water and it's got iron in it. So both the moon and Mars connected to our vital energy is allowing us to conserve our vital energy. It is naturally bringing, both the moon and Mars in Ashlesha and Rohini respectively are bringing circumstances that allow us to conserve our energy and pull up energy in our Kundalini Shakti, which is very good for our brains and very, very good for our nervous systems. So the energy is going inwards and upwards. We may find that our movements are a bit more graceful on top of everything else. We may find that our movements are more graceful. We may find that, we're more inclined to be a bit gentler with our approach. We're more inclined to persuade rather than demand. And these are among the positive aspects of the full moon in Ashlesha. On top of that, with the connection with Maga Ascendant, ancestral karma and genetic heritage will make its way into our lives without us demanding it. Our ancestors that are with us, or our ancestral guides that are with us, they will play more of a part in our lives than usual because the cosmic weather is conducive for that type of thing. So with Ashlesha moon and Maga Ascendant, there's more of a connection to genetic heritage and ancestral karma, but in a good way, especially when we don't force anything. Now, with the trine with Uttara Bhadrapada Jupiter in Pisces, remember, Uttara Bhadrapada is about sacred essence. So that sacred essence is found within the ancestral karma and genetic heritage that we are blessed with during the full moon in Ashlesha. The hidden treasures of everything that we need is found within what gravitates towards us. So the power of our Kundalini Shakti, that's partially where the hidden treasures are found. And then on top of that, the ancestral karma and the genetic heritage are part of where our treasures are found. So with all these wonderful things gravitating towards us, once again, it's not something that we have to go out looking for. It's something that we can utilize for sure, but it's not something that we have to go out looking for. Unfortunately, the squares bring the more negative aspects of Ashlesha, the pressing buttons in order to get a reaction, mistaking people, mistaking abuse for challenge. That's something that we have to be careful of. Just because somebody's harsh with us, and I've had to learn this throughout my life as well. Just because somebody's harsh with you, it doesn't mean that they're strong enough to be around you. It doesn't mean that they're strong enough to challenge you and strong enough to give you the energy that you're looking for. Challenge and abuse are not the same. If somebody is rude to you or somebody is mean to you, that's not a sign that you're soulmates. That's a sign you need to get the fuck up out of there. So the one thing that we need to be careful of is pressing buttons so that we can get a reaction out of people. The second thing that we want to be careful of is seeing that negative reaction at its strongest as a sign that we're meant to be friends with that person or we're meant to be with that person. We're meant to walk away, and in the first place, we're not meant to provoke people into feeling what they don't want to feel anyway, especially if the truth isn't involved. So at this moment, we have to maintain our own boundaries, not only with other people, but with ourselves as well. We have to save, the fiery energy of barony, even though it's in Uranus, so it expresses itself quite differently. We have to save the fiery energy of barony and the watery, clingy energy of Ashlesha. We have to apply both of these energies towards realizing our destiny and towards actually, moving through our lives in a positive way rather than using it in our interpersonal relationships. Because barony and Ashlesha are actually really, really good for overcoming obstacles when you know how to use them. And so is Kritika. Kritika cuts. Kritika is a catalyst. So you've got Kritika as the catalyst, and then you've got barony. Well, Kritika is in midheaven in Taurus. And then you've got barony and Ashlesha as the provokers. When you combine all of these energies together and you apply it towards fulfilling your life purpose or moving through obstacles or challenging yourself through those obstacles, when you apply it there, you are absolutely unstoppable. Okay? Now, the oppositions, the moon opposite the sun and Dhanishta, And especially in relation to these cards, now is when I get into these cards. Because this card right here, the Tower, it doesn't represent what we're supposed to walk away from. It represents what we're supposed to it represents what we're supposed to work, I can't get the words out. This card right here, the Tower, it doesn't represent what we are supposed to walk away from. It's supposed to represent what we walk towards. Okay? These people right here are walking away from the disaster of self-delusion and towards the truth of their own North Star. At this time, right, Ashlesha can bring out the manipulative qualities in many people right now. Dhanishta tends to cut through that. Shravana does too, but Shravana does it in a less, in a sort of less confrontational way. But Dhanishta, even though Dhanishta is inwardly very, very gentle, it's outwardly anti-BS. Very, very outwardly anti-BS. And those are the qualities that we really need to embody, because Ashlesha, as wonderful as it can be, it can also make people very passive aggressive. And it can also make people very sort of manipulative. And Dhanishta cuts right through the bullshit. Now we've got Shravana Sun opposite Ashlesha, which for me, it actually signifies that both Ashlesha and Shravana are doing the same thing, but for different reasons. Both Ashlesha and Shravana listen, observe, they pay attention to their surroundings, their intuition is on point. But whereas Ashlesha is doing it to ultimately to find out who they are by pressing others, Shravana does it for the opposite reason. Shravana does it by pressing themselves to find out how they can do good for others and discovering what the world is really like. And we're being advised at this time to move towards what Shravana wants. And for some reason, I get Shravana connected to this card, the Three of Pentacles, because it feels like even if we don't gravitate towards Shravana, we will be led there by the people in our lives. The people in our lives will remind us the whole reason and the whole purpose for your ancestral karma being realized in its most positive form is so that you can move into the world and give it the benefit of your expertise. Yeah. So that's what this represents. It represents moving through the world and giving it the benefit of your expertise. And we will have people around us to help us do that. Now, the moon opposite Saturn, it means that there's an awareness of serious emotions. There's an awareness of serious elements coming up in our personal lives. And the fact that it's in Dhanishta, once again, we've got Ashlesha and Dhanishta doing the same thing for different reasons. Ashlesha are focused on the pleasures of the body to heal itself. And Dhanishta is all about utilizing the pleasures of the body and the pleasures of the emotions and identity. So both Ashlesha and Dhanishta use lower energies in order to evoke higher aims, right? It's just that they have different reasons for doing it. Whereas Ashlesha does it to heal itself and to find out who it is. Dhanishta is like, once again, there's nothing wrong in you consulting your baser instincts, because your baser instincts are connected to nature, and nature is what the Holy Spirit actually is. That's why Mars is associated with patient martyrdom, because Mars are essentially utilizing their natural state or their primal, or their primal form to be able to realize something higher about themselves and humanity. And because it's Dhanishta Aquarius, all the genius is found in the things that we usually don't like about ourselves anyway. So with Ashlesha and Dhanishta, there are opposite ends. They're doing the same thing, but for opposite reasons. And right now, we are being encouraged to focus on healing and to focus on the truth as a means of healing. So instead of using the lower instincts of the material world, the material body, and of sexuality and of identity, instead of using it towards selfish ends, and instead of provoking it in others to gain our own gratification, we're being asked to take those same things and utilize it towards the greater good. Whatever we think our flaws are actually connected to the Holy Spirit. Quite often, what we think are our biggest flaws, they're often qualities within us that we share with other people. The things that we hate most about ourselves are the things that connect us with other people. And Dhanishta is showing us that those are the qualities that we're supposed to use in order to connect with other people. Ashlesha wants to represent itself at its best. It wants to represent itself as this, this standalone star, as it were. And Maga is the same, and we've got it in the Ascendant. So there's a desire within all of us to stand out from the crowd and to be the regal, dignified one, when what we're actually advised to do is to take the least favored parts of ourselves and the most primal parts of ourselves and use those qualities towards holy ends. Our bodies, our sexuality, our identity, all of these things that would usually create war and divide people. We're being asked to utilize these things to bring unity and healing. That's actually the key behind the great fame and notoriety that Dhanishta is known for. That's why so many people gravitate towards Dhanishta natives, because they take everything that's supposed to be repulsive about themselves and they turn it into something that other people can use. So this is where we come into believing in others and inspiring others and healing. Essentially, the conflict that comes at the beginning of the full moon stages, the conflict comes from us focusing too much on what is already being brought to us. We're already being brought our ancestral gifts. We're already being brought the opportunity to stand out from the crowd. We already have that. Now what we want to focus on is truth and being unafraid of our flaws. When it comes to this card now, this represents Ashlesha. Our guard may be up more than normal because we're in the full moon in Ashlesha. Our guard may be up more than normal, and at this time it's not a good idea because it's actually closing us off from new ideas that could be formed from what we learn about ourselves and from what we learn about our supposed flaws. So yeah, that's for the full moon in Ashlesha. Now we're going to have a look at the third quarter moon in Vishaka. So, third quarter moon in Vishaka, this takes place on the 13th of February 2023 and hits at 4 p.m. exactly Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, so along with Vishaka, we have Ashlesha Ascendant in Cancer and Dhanishta Sun in Aquarius. And the cards that we have for the third quarter moon are the Six of Coins from the In-Between Tarot, the Judgment card from Catch All the Earth, and the Obsequium card, Submission, from Sybil's Oraculum. Now, this is interesting. What can this tell us? Well, before I can tell you any of that, I've got to tell you the astrological placements, and I've also got to read the notes from these cards right here. So let's get into it. Now, the moon is, of course, squared Sun and Saturn because the moon is always squared the Sun at some point. It is also trined Purva Bhadrapada in Aquarius for Venus and Neptune. And also it is sextile Uttara Ashada in Pluto. For the notes, I have yield to the superior forces. It'll be a sign of strength. I have generous business, much generosity, saving someone, power struggles, taking an oath, studying, recognition, sigh of relief, earning a wage, generous vision, community garden, charity farm, and luxurious vision. Now already what I'm getting from Vishaka and Ashlesha, because both of them are part of the Maleka caste of nakshatras in Vedic astrology. And the Maleka caste, if you're unfamiliar with it, is the outcast of the class system. So both Ashlesha and Vishaka are all about the improper. They're all about the abject. They're all about the natural, the corrosive, being utilized towards finding spiritual devotion, as witnessed with many tribal and especially matriarchal deities. There is honor of the flesh rather than the spirit. There is honor of the Holy Spirit of nature than of the expected spirit of the higher realms. Okay? So the moon squared the sun in Ashlesha in particular, and the moon doesn't square Ashlesha. The moon squares the sun in Dhanishta and Saturn in Dhanishta. It gives the impression of both Vishaka and Dhanishta doing different things for the same reason. So they both want to find devotion and find the spiritual realm through alchemizing surface level or animalistic urges. So they want to take the animalistic and they want to incorporate these things into spiritual development or spiritual ascension. Okay? But the ways they do it are different. Vishaka does it through outward rebellion, especially against abuse. And I know this sounds weird, but Jupiter and Mars do the same thing, but they do it in very different ways. Jupiter will not accept mistreatment, and deep down, Jupiter refuses to be beholden to anyone. On the surface, Jupiter seems very, very placid, especially with masculine Jupiter dominant energies. And knowing that Vishaka is Jupiter dominant, sorry for the noise in the background, knowing that Vishaka is Jupiter dominant, the way Jupiter dominant energy works is that it's very outwardly benevolent. It gives to people, but it's actually very inwardly rebellious. Yeah, sorry about the noise in the background. It's actually very inwardly rebellious. It's outwardly giving and outwardly generous, but inwardly rebellious. Whereas Mars is outwardly rebellious, but inwardly gentle. So when Mars is confronted with, even with the most unfavorable side of nature, which is abuse and which is mistreatment, Dhanishta are likely to actually alchemize the mistreatment that they've been given in order to not only empower themselves, but empower everyone else around them. Whereas Vishaka does the same thing, but they do it through the refusal to accept mistreatment. They do it through rebellion. They do it through the absolute refusal to be subjugated. Okay? So when we get a mix of the two, we find ourselves in this interesting dilemma that asks ourselves, should we submit or should we judge? Those are the options that we're left with. Should we submit or should we judge? Instead of asking those questions though, we actually need to focus on the commonalities. Because the commonalities between Ashlesha and Vishaka, even though they're not squared, the commonalities between them are we use the physical body to stir up a frenzy, not only in ourselves, but in the people around us. And then the connection between Vishaka and Dhanishta is that we want to experience spiritual ascension through our physical senses. Only Vishaka wants to do it through what they demand, and Dhanishta wants to do it through what they've accepted. So it's a question of, do we acquiesce or do we judge? Those are questions that we're left with, and those are questions that we might find difficult to answer. So once again, like I said before, this is why focusing on the commonalities are important, because what is our ultimate end goal here? Our ultimate end goal in the third quarter moon is to utilize our physical bodies and our physical gratification towards higher empowerment, not only of ourselves, but also of everyone else as well. For women, it's to realize our goddesshood. For men, it's to realize their sainthood. That is the point of both Vishaka and Dhanishta in Scorpio and in Aquarius. The point is for, to realize your goddesshood or your sainthood, not in the sense of you being arrogant and thinking that you got it like that, but in the sense of achieving a higher level of spiritual devotion and sharing that with other people. As with always, whenever there's a sun and moon squared each other, the importance becomes on focusing on the commonalities. So the submission is to our highest motivation, and the judgment is towards the method. Because there are times where you may have to rally against the mistreatment that you've been given. And then there are times where when you are mistreated, instead of paying it back, sorry about the noise in the background, instead of paying it back, you have to either pay it forward, or you have to pay it forward in a way that is healing rather than in the same abusive way that you were treated. Okay? So when it comes to this, it really depends upon your intuition, and it really depends upon your judgment and trusting your judgment and trusting your discernment. Now, with regards to this, wealth is to be expected. We've got Ashlesha Ascendant, which is hoarding the money. And then we've got Vishaka, which is gifting us with the spiritual devotion or the levels of spiritual devotion that have people truly connecting with us. And then with Dhanishta, we attract more wealth and we attract more notoriety. And I'm very fortunate to say, I think this is a very fortunate thing for me to say. I feel like because the third quarter moon is in Vishaka, in Scorpio, I feel like at this point, we don't actually have to accept anything we don't want to. But at the same time, the commonalities are still important. We don't have to accept anything that we don't want to, because coming off the back of the full moon in Ashlesha, we've been given extremely high quality material resources, people, opportunities that are right in line with our purpose. So we don't have to accept anything less than what we've been given and what we're able to utilize. Okay, we don't have to accept anything less than that. But the power struggles, they come from the dichotomy between, taking the abuse and then using our experiences towards healing other people, or just flat out refusing the abuse and saying, fuck you, you're not going to treat me like this. I feel like the third quarter moon is more favored towards Vishaka than Dhanishta, but there are times where Dhanishta will be important for us to embody. This doesn't mean being a victim. It doesn't mean just laying back and accepting what people throw at you, but it does mean that you alchemize even the most horrible, unfavorable shit, and then you turn it towards alchemizing. You alchemize it so that it heals not only yourself, but other people. Megan the Stallion has Dhanishta in her chart. And she's taken that experience with Tory Lanez, and she's utilized that experience towards not only helping and healing herself, but sending a message to other Black women that allows them to stand in our power that allows us to stand in our power as well. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, where, when I say that Dhanishta's tendencies to attract people who don't mean them well, and then for them to turn around and use that as an opportunity to heal others, this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say this isn't always a bad thing. Lay down your boundaries. Make sure that your true feelings are known, but also don't be hard on yourself if you sometimes fail to do that. And with this right here, like I said before, February is going to be a far more not fortuitous, but it was going to be a far more abundant month than January was. We don't have to struggle like that, but we do have to review our lives and where our lives are going. But by the time the third quarter moon comes around, we'll be on the right track anyway. Because not only did we have that connection to our personal joys from the 1st of February, but we also have, our ancestral karma coming back around on the 5th. And now we've got, this reawakened sense of self that utilizes everything that we've been given in order to heal the world around us. So it's a good thing, but it's like we have to use our discernment around this time. And we have to enjoy the spoils of what we've been given without sacrificing too much of our dignity or too much of our boundaries. It's one thing to do great things for the greater good. That's one thing. It's another thing to lay down your boundaries so that the world can walk all over you. So that's for the third quarter moon in Vishaka. And now we are going to move on to the 12 signs. Hi, this is the reading for Taurus. This is for Kritika, Rohini, and Mrigashira. Hi, Taurus. Oh, you're going through it. Okay, so they've got the Mother of Knives here, which is the Queen of Swords from the Hoodoo Tarot, and the Nine of Swords from the African American Tarot. Now, I really want the Taurians to have a win at the end of this. So I'm going to try as much as I can to see the positives in your reading in spite of the cards that are here. Okay. So first, let's have a look at the notes. We've got pure knives energy. So it's entirely to do with the will of the mind for the first 2 weeks of February. Your mind has to be very strong at the moment, and I feel like you will prioritize pragmatism over your feelings, and I feel like in some ways that will help you during this time. But it's important not to be too focused on pragmatism and too focused on logic, because what will happen is that whatever it is that you most expect, it will catch you off guard. Please take it from somebody who knows. I'm a Empress Justice as a tarot reader. Empress Justice is an Ardra sun, okay? So I know exactly what it's like to rely on your intellect and your intuition for everything, only to be caught off guard by people's intentions or by unexpected elements in the way. The truth of the matter is that out of 16 occurrences in our daily lives, only 6 of them are bound to be what we expect. So this is why it's important for us to remain attuned to our emotions as well as our logic, because logic doesn't actually prepare us for the unexpected. It simply allows us at best to deal with it when it comes, and to keep a cool head. So don't rely too much on your thoughts right now. Don't rely too much on your thoughts, because those can change. And don't rely too much on logic, because that can be based on dead facts rather than real ones. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, let me read the notes for you guys. So put a pin in mental health. Put a pin in everything that I'm about to say, because everything matters here. So we've got mental health worker, stress due to cynicism, regrets, severe worrying, needing help, high ideals, cynical ideas, career orientation. Now, because you're quite a pragmatic sign, if you're going through anything, then you won't make a big fuss of it. You'll kind of keep it under wraps. It sounds as though there are other people going through things that you need to be there for, but it's kind of overwhelming you, but you don't know how to communicate being overwhelmed at the moment. It's like you've got other people to look after now, and that's what's getting you down. That's what's kind of making you a bit depressed, even though you're dealing with it very well. Earth signs deal with depression very well, actually. They tend not to be out for the count when it comes to depression. They tend to handle it very well. But you are still overwhelmed with the amount of, with just the sheer amount of stuff that you have going on, the amount of responsibilities on your plate, and then with all the past recriminations of January and all the reminders of, who you used to be and what used to happen and how you used to handle things. Like, the realization of all of that is just, it was just such a mess in January, and now in February, and especially in the first half of the week, you're having to deal with other people's problems as well as your own. And I know this is another earth sign trait. You prefer to deal with other people's problems rather than your own, because other people's problems stop you thinking about your own. And that's a classic earth sign trait, and that's especially the case with Taurus. Any excuse not to focus on your own life, and you'll take it. Only, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing here, because you still have a lot to do when it comes to reckoning with your own internal demons and how they've impacted others. You still got a lot to reckon with. So maybe for February, focusing on other people who need help and other people who might be going through mental difficulties, it might actually, sorry, my throat's carrying on. It might actually help you quite a bit if you can just allow yourself to, just be there for other people for now. You are ferocious in your protectiveness of other people. That's a really good thing as well. So whatever help people need, you don't just provide pragmatic support or pragmatic advice. You also show up to defend your kin. You show up to defend the people that you love as well, because you ain't putting up with bullshit. You will defend the people that you love with every ounce of breath you have in your body. And, you're one of those signs that is determined to look after the people around you. So that's the good part about yourself. The good part about yourself is that you're not just going to say it, you're going to show it. You're going to show up for people. So there is a positive side to this. Like, that's how these things go. I looked for the positive side in this reading, and that's what I got. And quite honestly, that could be your mantra for the whole of February, and especially these 2 weeks. You put a positive spin on it, you start to see through the cracks, you start to see the opportunities, you start to see the small gaps where you can fit in, and you can turn a situation around to your advantage. So if you see these previous situations that you've been in, or the help that you need to give to other people, if you learn to see that as an opportunity for your own growth, rather than as an opportunity to escape from your life or an opportunity for you to avoid introspection, then what will happen is that when you do help people, you won't be doing it to avoid introspection or to avoid taking accountability for your own life. Like, you won't use it for that reason, but you'll use it to actually help yourself as well. So you're helping yourself while you help other people, especially when you take your own advice. So there is it's not an easy 2 weeks for Taurians at all. It's really not. It's not an easy 2 weeks for you, but you can and you will make it work. Okay, Taurus? All right. So that was for Kritika, Rohini, and Mrigashira. I love you so much, Taurus. You don't know. Stay strong. We need you out here. Bye-bye. Hi Virgo, this reading is for Uttara Palguni, Hasta and Chitra. If you can hear anything from outside, please forgive that. It's like any ordinary neighborhood. You've got noise disturbance, so don't watch that, Virgo. Hopefully you can hear my words and you're not distracted by what's going on outside. So, for your reading, I have the Son of Sticks, which is the Knight of Wands from the Hoodoo Tarot. And we've also got the Six of Pentacles from the African American tarot. So what can we expect for you based on intuition alone? What can we get for you for the first 2 weeks of February? Well, the first words that come to mind with regards to your reading is all systems go. Okay? There is a very strong possibility that you will make money from your passions. I'm talking about when it comes to your hobbies or anything that you're really passionately interested in. There is a very strong possibility that you will make some financial gain from what you're most interested in and what you most love to do. So there's this merge of pleasure and business, but in an entirely positive way this time. Once again, February is just the glimpse month. So whatever financial abundance you get for these first 2 weeks as a result of what you've done, that's just the beginning. This is not over. This is just the beginning. There is a lot of amazing fortune to come in your career in particular, and that will lead you to meeting new people. It's interesting because they were the type of people that you once felt intimidated by, but now because of your mindset and because you're not focused on what anybody else is doing, those same people no longer intimidate you. And I don't mean in terms of, being scared of them or what have you. When you admire someone and you feel like you might melt in their presence or something, there's none of that. You meet people that you used to kind of think, well, this person's amazing, this person's a boss, but only to meet them and realize, well, I have just as much talent as they do. I just have it in a different area to them. And you stop feeling that intimidation and you stop feeling insecure. And it's because of that lack of insecurity. That's the reason why you become so prolific in your talents and your skills to the point where you're actually starting to profit from them. And speaking of your confidence, you really are at your best when you walk around acting like you're the shit. And I know it sounds like a very contradictory lesson for me to be teaching people as a tarot reader or oracle reader, love and light, right? Hell no. When you flip your hair back or when you shave your head and flip your bald head, when you do that, when you kind of show out and you act like you're the bee's knees and you bring your greatest joys to the forefront and you bring your confidence to the forefront and you bring your passion to the forefront, that's when the world really starts to pay attention to you. And that is the Virgo that we need. That is the Virgo that we need. Not necessarily the one focused on prestige, but the one who says, you know what, here I am. What's good, bitches? So that sort of hair flipping confidence, that sort of walking around, I'm the shit. And I will forever be the shit. You are not on my level. Having that attitude internally, at least, you don't want to go around saying it. You don't want to go around saying that shit. But if you have it internally, you have that confidence internally, and you wear it, it makes people more receptive to you when your ego comes into the equation. Because Virgos can suffer from a distinct lack of ego. We can suffer from, well, I say we, I'm not a Virgo, but Virgos can suffer from a distinct lack of ego sometimes. And sometimes, especially Vedic Virgos, and sometimes you need to just stride with, take them long strides and be like, you know what, I'm the shit. I'm the shit out here. You can't tell me nothing. And that's exactly the space that you find yourself in when you are doing what you love and you are so prolific in what you love to do. Can't tell you nothing. They can't tell you shit. If there is, and this goes for all signs, not even just for Virgos, for all signs. If what you do doesn't make you feel like the baddest mofo alive, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because it's when you reach that level of confidence that you're not watching anyone else, you're not jealous of anyone else, you're not, when you don't see people as competition and you're only focused on what your craft is doing, that's when you elevate. So it's not just humility that gets you to where you're supposed to go. It's also a certain amount of confidence too. So what else can I get for you, Virgo? Okay, we'll put a pin in this shit. We've got being unstoppable. Put a pin in that. And put a pin in following passion with true determination. So those first two things you want to put a pin in, right? And then for the rest, we've got strong alliance, new charity, earning a wage, and much generosity. Hang on, we've also got, we got, let's see what else we've got. Yeah, we've got new charity, earning a wage, and much generosity. So there is a lot of abundance coming in for the Virgos, and that's directly attributed to what you do and how much confidence you have in what you do. I almost slipped up then with the so Virgo, that was for you. That was for Uttara Palguni, Hasta and Chitra. I love you so much, my beautiful, beautiful Virgos. Peace and blessings. Do your thing. The whole world's watching and we love what we see. Bye-bye. Hi, Gemini. Hi, this reading is for Gemini. This is for Mrigashira, Ardra, and Purnavasu. How are you doing, Gemini? It took quite a few takes to get this right because I came across a realization and an epiphany just before I started reading for you, and I kept getting a fit of the giggles. I'm sorry. I usually laugh at everything anyway. I got a fit of the giggles and then I found I couldn't talk. But the fit of the giggles is indicative of the energy of this reading. And I feel like me being unable to talk is also fitting for the energy of this reading, because there are a lot of wondrous things in store for the Geminis. There are a lot of wondrous things in store for you, but Spirit doesn't want me to reveal too much. It is ecstatic. It is joyous. It is wonderful. There is abundance here. There's optimism here. It's not even optimism. There is guaranteed positivity coming into your life. And you get glimpses of that over the next 2 weeks. And it's intense. It is very, very intense. So I can't reveal too much about what's in store for you. All I can tell you is that it's good. That's all I can tell you for now. But if I can ask Spirit to give me some leeway so that I can find out what I can tell you about the next couple of weeks. Okay, I know what it is, but I don't want to say anything now. And the reason I don't want to say anything now is because I don't want to jinx it. But there's something huge for the Geminis in particular that I'm reading for. There's something huge in store for you. Something public. I don't want to reveal what it is right now. Just continue to beaver away on whatever it is that you're working on. Just keep beavering away. Do not expect anything. Release all outcome to Spirit. The only thing that I can tell you for sure, Gemini, is that your hard work will be rewarded big time. That is all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you, Gemini. If you've been working hard on your career in particular or your work, expect huge returns from that. And you get glimpses of that in February. But instead of me telling you, you're going to find that out for yourself. So with that in mind, what can I tell you? What can I reveal to you? Okay. So for the notes for you, we've got real estate, strong faith, much abundance, innocence. Vision creates abundance, wealthy farmer, inspirational teacher. There's something that you've wanted for a really, really long time, and you don't get it in February or in the first 2 weeks of February, but you do get glimpses of what you want, and it's big shit. It is really, really big shit, and it's positive stuff as well. So it looks like the returns are not only financial, but the returns are for your reputation as well. Expect amazing things. That is all I can tell you. That is all I can tell you. I can't tell you anything else. So this is going to be a short one. Thank you, Gemini, for being with me. I wish I could tell you more about what's going on. If you need any hints, go back, rewind this reading to the part where I talk about the notes. Go back to that, but I can't reveal too much. The only thing I can tell you is hang tight. As the Family Guy version of Tom Cruise says, your life is about to change. So anyway, that was for the gems. I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye. Hi Pisces, this reading is for Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada and Revati. How are you guys doing? So Pisces, for you, we've got John Horse, which is the Emperor card of the Hoodoo Tarot. And we have got the Seven of Pentacles. It's Pentacles, but I try not to be boring, so it's Pentacles for me. So based on these cards alone, what can I intuitively get for you guys? Well, it is a very active month. It is a very active month for you Pisces, and these couple of weeks are active. But just because they are active, it doesn't mean they're frenetic. Sorry, Pisces, I've got to move this. Just because they are active, it doesn't mean they're frenetic. Okay. It does mean that a lot of your behavior and a lot of what you do, especially for these first couple of weeks, are going to be very focused and very driven. There's a measured approach there though, because we've got 4, which is an active number, and 7, which is an active number. 4 is a neutral active number, and 7 is a refined active number. So number 7 reflects very high activity of the mind, and number 4 represents balanced activity between the mind and the body. Okay, so it feels like there is more emphasis on the mind. There's more emphasis on thought, strategy, tactics than there is on necessarily implementing anything. So yes, you are going to be working very hard for these first couple of weeks, but it's not going to be a frenetic type of energy. It's going to be very grounded. You're going to be beavering away on a lot of things that won't show returns yet. But because you guys are Pisceans, you have that strong faith kind of arming you with the motivation to keep going even when you don't see the results that you want. It doesn't matter whether you get rewards for what you're doing. You will, but it doesn't matter to you. What matters to you is that everything is in its appropriate order. What matters is that you're doing everything that you promised you would do. What matters is that you're taking charge of the situation and you're acting upon things that you truly believe in, and you're doing it with the quickness. That's what matters to you. It doesn't matter to you whether you get rewards or accolades or anything or praise. None of that matters to you at this moment. Maybe it never mattered to you. But unlike before, there's a certain groundedness about Pisceans, and especially in the first half of February. There's a groundedness about your energy that refuses to be derailed, distracted by emotional stuff, by anything to do with, even your finances, even financial matters. You will set up an automatic debt repayment if you need to, but you refuse to allow any financial problems to get in the way of what you feel like you're supposed to be doing. Right now, what matters is what you believe to be true and what your long-term goals are. And that's what you prioritize. in your life in general, but especially for these next 2 weeks. And with the 7 energy here, that's right in line with the universal year. You're very much in touch with the pulse of what's going on in the world right now. If there are any political movements going on, it doesn't matter what country you're in, Pisceans are either going to be right there at the forefront or they're going to be right in the thick of it. Because you understand from a material perspective what the current public feeling is, and you're going along with it. Only the way you're approaching it is you are planting seeds to be nurtured. That's what you're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's a great strength and a power about Pisceans, but it's one that is completely egoless, and it's rooted in doing something for the greater good rather than yourselves. So yeah, so what can I get for you for the notes, Pisces? Well, I'm getting a lot here. So I've got hands-on manager, successful sales strategy, and leader in marketing. So put a pin in all of those, all right? Also put a pin in long-term investment and vision, community garden, and charity farm. Okay, and for the rest, I've got top of a large corporation, general army, and control freak. Be careful not to allow your long-term visions to make you too stoic. And be careful not to allow your long-term visions to make you too inflexible or rigid. Because even though having mental security or having a fixed belief in something is largely very beneficial for you, where you don't want to be arrogant is in how you achieve your aims. There are people out there with excellent ideas, maybe more creative than yours or maybe more emotionally based than yours, but their ideas are valid and their voices should be heard. So don't become so stuck in your way of doing things that you ultimately jeopardize what you're trying to achieve. Remain open to other people's opinions. Remain open to what other people have to say while you plant those seeds. Those seeds need water. You can't act on practicalities alone. You can't act on so-called common sense alone. You can't do that, Pisces. You have to act with a certain emotional intuition as well. And usually nobody knows this better than you. But right now, you're at that part of the cycle where it's boots to the ground. That's understandable. That's good. But don't forget your emotional intuition, and do not forget your empathy. And don't forget to listen to others. So this is a powerful couple of weeks for the Pisceans. The mutable signs are having a bit of a moment, but yeah, it's a powerful couple of weeks for the Pisceans. You're laying the groundwork. Again, entirely without ego. You're not stubborn because you think you're the best. That's not what this is. That's not what's going on here. But you need to still listen to others. Okay, so I love you so much, Pisces. Peace and blessings. And yeah, do your thing. Just remain open. I love you so much. Peace and blessings, Pisces. Bye-bye. Hi, Aries. This is for Ashvini, Bharani, and Kritika. And this full moon reading in Ashlesha is brought to you by the number 3. Now, in a couple of signs, we've had unifying numbers, like with Cancer and Sagittarius. And now we have you, Aries, that has the number 3. Now, I actually kind of love this because the Ashvini Nakshatra, in particular, loves their 3s, okay? 3 is a sacred number in the universe anyway, and yeah, Ashvinis love their 3s, baby. They love to come back to the root of a situation. They love to come back to the root of all creation. Boss. So, what's the number 3 associated with? Well, it's associated with creativity. It's associated with communication, speaking. Low key, I also associate this card with achievement. So it feels like, Aries, that you might accomplish quite a bit for the next 2 weeks, or at least in February, you'll get a glimpse as to how much you've actually achieved over the last few months. And you'll start to realize, oh, hang on, I've actually done quite a bit, haven't I? And you also may notice greater synchronicities happening around you. Now, because you have quite a thing for the number 3, especially for Ashvini Arians, right? Because you have a thing about the number 3, your ancestral guides or any chosen guides by spirit, anyone who's around you, anyone who forms your spiritual team, they may communicate with you by showing you everything in 3s. Now, spirit communicates with us all the time, but it's the emotional resonance that gets us to pay attention to a particular message. The only thing that I would say to Ashvini is keep your eyes very open and be very observant, because you never know which situation is going to give you those 3s or give you those clues or give you that synchronicity that spirit is trying to communicate with you that a major event is coming up. Now, this is not necessarily a dramatic month. It's not a month where huge things are about to happen, but you do get glimpses and hints of what's to come. And it's important to listen to that. Okay. Usually after the 3rd time that something has happened, or the 3rd time that something occurs, that the 4th time is for real. So you've got to pay real attention to that and take that not only as a warning, but also as a fortuitous situation as well, because it can happen with both good things and bad things. So good things happen in 3s, bad things happen in 3s. Quite frankly, I see for you, Aries, that you do get a lot more good things than bad. Thank God for that. But be aware of how the number 3 applies and connects to your life. Also be aware that your mind is going to take center stage as well, because the 3 is to do with the mind, it's to do with wisdom, and it's to do with creativity and desire as well. So it's all about how your knowledge and your desire come together, what you know and what you want, and how they form your existence. Again, it's not a dramatic month, but these are really big questions that you need to be pondering and you need to be asking yourself at this moment, okay? So it's a good couple of weeks, don't get me wrong. It's one where you have a lot of happy moments with the people that you love. There's a lot of pleasant conversation for the Aries. There's nothing too dramatic. There's no big hoo-ha going on when it comes to Aries. And, ordinarily Aries will find that quite boring, but you actually find that really, really pleasant, because everybody's laughing and joking and enjoying themselves, and there's no drama and there's no ridiculous beef going on. And then on top of that, you've got some very positive hopes for the future that show every sign of being able to be materialized or materializing already. So this is a really quite a pleasant 2 weeks for the Arians, if I'm honest. It's very nice. It's very nice indeed. So not only do you get the healing and very important manifestation number of 3, but you get it in suits that hint at pleasantness and good vibes for the future. Like, you have good memories from the past, which is reflected in the 3 of Cups. And you also have good vibrations and thoughts for the future, which is reflected in the 3 of Wands. So yeah, things are looking very pleasant for the Arians. Nothing dramatic. So the good things that are to come, they're not like heavy, but they are there and they're worth celebrating. So for the 3 of Baskets and Wands for Arians, I'm going to look at the notes now. So we've got spending time with past loved ones, pleasure, team leader, many weddings, celebrations, listening, audio, bouncer, alternative lifestyle, and making a successful decision. So Aries, you do make some very good decisions at this point for the next 2 weeks. You do make some very wise choices, and they have a very pleasant effect on not only you, but the people around you as well. So it's a lovely, very mellow, positive cycle. And because it doesn't feel so dramatic, because it doesn't feel so, so out there, it makes you less likely to sabotage it. It would be one thing if it was over the top bliss and ecstasy and all the rest of it. It would be one thing if it was over the top joyful, because then you might be inclined to think, well, hang on, something's not right here, and then write a self-fulfilling prophecy. But because there's nothing dramatic going on, and it's all very mellow and peaceful, and it's because there's so much good vibes there, and those good vibes are mellow, you're less likely to rock the boat. So this is a really, really wonderful 2 weeks for Aries. It's relatively quiet, nothing too dramatic, but it is good, and you are going to enjoy it. So that was for Aries. That was for Ashvini, Bharani, and Kritika. I love you so much, Aries. Mwah. Bye-bye. Sage. I love doing that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This reading is for Mula, Purdva Ashada, and Uttara Ashada. How you doing, Sagittarius? How's it going? Okay, so for you, we've got the Black Herman card from the Magician of the Hoodoo Tarot. And we have the Ace of Pentacles, or the Ace of Pentacles, as I like to call it. Okay, so first of all, what we need to address is the fact that both of these cards have the number 1 in them. Now, I read for Cancer. Cancer had number 6. You've got number 1. And they both reflect sun energy. Only with Cancers, it's a little bit extra. But you and Sagittarius are kind of in the same boat. But with you, it's a lot more powerful and impactful because the Magician is here. And also, it's more grounded in the material world. And that's why the Ace of Pentacles is here. So everything that Cancer is experiencing, you might want to cross-watch Cancer for this one. Everything that Cancer is experiencing, you're experiencing too, but it's on a more intense material level. I feel such a surge of power reading for you guys that it's just crazy. It feels like you're really making waves in your careers, making waves in your home life as well, because it feels like for some of you, your home life is connected to your career. And the thing is that it's not necessarily that your home life needs to be settled, because you've always been a free bird, right? But the freer you allow yourself to be in your home life is the more your career works out, basically. And it feels like that's what's been happening here. Instead of you fighting against the current when it comes to anything going on in your home life, because your home life might be quite chaotic, right? Instead of you fighting against the current in your home life, you're moving with it. And because you're moving with it, your career is taking off. So at this time, all your talents are coming to the forefront. All your life experiences are coming to the forefront. Everything that you've learned and experienced up to this point it's sort of congealing, and it's weird because it's like all your past experiences and all your past lessons and your skills and your talents, it's like they're all consolidating and forming this one unique thing, and it's solidifying, and it's kind of attracting the way to your new life, if that makes sense, Sag. Okay, I don't know if I called you Cancer or Sag. My mind is just somewhere else when I do these readings. But it's like, Sag, that all your past experiences and all your past skills and everything that you know is like it's coming together in this one ball, and that ball is lighting your path towards your future. Oh, you're hurting them, Sag. You're hurting them. And again, because it's February and it's not even the latter half of February, it's the first half of February. This is just a small glimpse as to what you can expect for your life to come. You are going to be a force to be reckoned with. This shit is not a game, okay? And there will be smarter enemies at your doorstep because of it. There will be, less obvious, more respectful people. And truth be told, you may attract enemies in your life that actually really like and respect you. It gives very much Otto Hightower, like, I know anyone who watches House of Dragon, I know we all hate Otto. We all do. It's true, we do. And he's an opportunistic man who does everything for his own ends, does everything for power. But when it came to King Viserys, he respected him right up until the end. Right up until the end. He didn't talk smack about Viserys. He didn't talk shit about him. None of that. He respected the hell out of that man. And even after he died, he called him Viserys the Peaceful. So it's very much like that. You may be surrounded by people who try to prey on you for their own ends. It won't work. But they are going to be smarter than your average enemy that you're used to dealing with, because you're Sag and you're used to dealing with people who are stupid enough to underestimate you, stupid enough not to understand how intelligent you are. But the more you ascend up the ladder and the more your power becomes obvious is when you start to attract a different type of enemy. You start to attract people who know your capabilities, who know your potential, and respect the hell out of that. But if they have to choose between you and them, they're going to choose themselves. So that's the downside to this. But the upside to this situation that I see for the next 2 weeks and beyond is that your money is going to improve drastically. Your talents are going to improve drastically. Your work opportunities are going to improve drastically. Like, all these things are going to improve majorly over the next 2 weeks. And like I said, this is just a small glimpse into a bigger future here, Sag. It's just a small glimpse into a bigger future. Now, I have to read the notes for you. Put a pin in career woman. And then we've got new generosity and financial opportunities and long-term investment. I've got to read something else for you. There's something else that I missed out. Bear with. There's something else that I missed out. So for you, I've got talented leader as well. Okay. So on top of you making huge strides in your career, right? But you're doing it in a passive way because it says career woman for the notes. So I'm getting that you attain a fabulous career through your private life. And through you riding the waves of your private life rather than trying to force anything. And I also get that the ways in which you attain power is very passive. You're not going out and getting it. You're not putting feet on necks or anything. It's nothing like that. It's just that because of everything that you've been beavering away at behind the scenes, now it's starting to show in your public life. Your reputation is starting to precede you. And of course, with that, it comes great inspiration. There are people who truly understand you and who truly get you and who truly want you to succeed. It's crazy. It's crazy how much people want you to succeed. But, you know, even the people who don't like you, even people who are supposed to be your enemies, they want you to succeed. They want you to thrive. They want you to get better. And you will. So that was for Sag. That was for Mula, Purva Ashada, and Uttara Ashada. Baby, you're about to kick some ass up in here. Okay? World, you have been warned. Okay? I love you, Sag. Take care. Peace and blessings. Mwah. Bye-bye. Hi, Cancer. This reading is for Punarvasu, Pushya, and Ashlesha. How is it going, Cancer? Okay, so for you guys, we have the 6 of Baskets, which equates to the 6 of Cups from the Hoodoo Tarot. And we also have the 6 of Wands from the African American Tarot. Okay? So first off, I want to talk about the fact that we've got 6 here. Okay? Now, 6 to me, it denotes sacrifice for the greater good. The number 6 isn't just about beauty, it's about the purity within that beauty, especially in a physical sense. It seems like many of you may be more focused on your well-being and your health at this time. As, you know, for these first 2 weeks especially, because spring is coming up, and unlike other people who want to do their workouts in the dead of winter, you'd rather do it when it's a bit warmer and yet not too warm. So you may be preparing to make lifestyle changes just in time for spring, which is a really good thing. Also, it is a sign of beauty as well. I can't lie. It's not just about sacrifice for the greater good. It's not just about healing. It's not just about vitality. It's also about beauty as well. I feel like what might happen though is that a deep-seated level of inner purity, of knowing exactly what you want to do with your life and with your health, that actually leads you to experiencing greater physical beauty on the outside as well. So it kind of works from the inside out. It's not from the outside in this case. So you taking better care of your health, it leads to you looking better, and then you looking better leads to you feeling a bit more confident in experimenting with your style. And on top of that, the number 6, it denotes not victory, but a sense of harmony. So there might be harmony between your past, which is what the 6 of Baskets represents, and your future, which is what the 6 of Wands represents. So there's a distinct feeling of being right in line with your destiny, of you having ironed out all your past mistakes and at least getting some clarity on them. And then what happens is that all the losses that you've taken from your past, they translate into current and present wins. And that's not because it was destined to always be like that. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Just because you go through a lot in your past, it doesn't mean that you'll have a Cinderella story waiting for you in the future. No, this was entirely you. This was you deciding that you were going to use your past situations, Cancer, and empower yourself with them. And that's what this represents. There is a perfect harmony and unison with destiny right now that you are observing, because we've got water and fire over here. So your creativity is flowing very, very nicely. Your passions are definitely there, but they're under control. So they're not like ravaging out of control, like they're very much in control. It's quite a blissful feeling, but once again, that blissful ecstasy that you're feeling, it's not out of control. You're still very much in touch with reality at this point. So for the first couple of weeks of February, for the Cancers, it looks really beautiful. It looks great. And I wasn't expecting that. It does look absolutely wonderful. So let's see what the notes say about your current situation, okay? So for your current situation, it says going back to what you know, working with children, or your inner child in this case, bestseller, winning at writing or trade, nostalgia, living in the past, staying on top, winning with ease, birthday party, victory in sport and competitive jobs. Slow and steady wins the race is what I hear. You are the tortoise in this story. For many cancers that I'm reading for, especially Cancer natives and Cancer rising, Cancer sun as well, because this reading is for Cancer sun too. If you're Cancer moon and Cancer rising, you are the tortoise in this situation. And many of your contemporaries were the hare. They were more active than you. They were less reflective and more active, less emotional and more intuitive. But they ran fast and they hit a brick wall somewhere. Whereas you are continuing to go from strength to strength. And once again, February is a month where we are being shown small glimpses of a long-term future. So please understand that if it feels like your slow progress has won you the race, if it feels like that, then please believe that it was meant to happen. This is exactly what was meant to happen to you. But because you're getting small glimpses of it this month and this fortnight in particular, it won't feel all that dramatic. I mean, you'll be in the flow of creativity. Your past looks clearer to you. Your future looks very, very positive at the moment. But it's nothing dramatic. It's just very grounded and rooted in reality. But rest assured, there are some huge positive changes coming. And you get a glimpse of that as early as... You may have already gotten glimpses of that as early as the 1st. But it feels like at the time of filming now, on the 3rd of February, is when it might become clear to you guys that you're actually on the road to great success. It feels like that's what you're on the road towards. And this is in both your emotional life and your overall life. It feels like it's both of your emotions and actions. They're aligned with each other. They're harmonious with each other. Because remember, we've got the number 6 for both here. And I'm going to be real with you. Don't be surprised if your love life takes a hugely positive direction because of everything that's going on. So is there anything else I can see for Cancer? Okay, that's for Cancer. That was for Punavasu, Pushya, and Ashlesha. Thank you, Cancer, so much. Oh, I love this reading for you. Thank you for sharing this with me. And yeah, enjoy these 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Hi, Leo. This is for Magha, Purva Palguni, and Uttara Palguni. How is it going, Leos? You guys good? So, what can I get for you? So, first off, we've got the Father of Baskets, which is the Father of Cups from the Hoodoo Tarot. And then we have the Hermit card, which is the Hermit card from the African American Tarot. I'm sorry, I was being a bit of a smart ass, but anyway. So what can we get for you guys? Well, it's weird because the Hermit card is usually solitary, but I don't get Leos being alone. That's not what I get for you. What I get for these first 2 weeks is Leos being an advisor of some sort. So at this point, whilst, Aquarians are the leaders because they're the leaders everyone likes, they're the leaders everyone chooses. But it's almost like Aquarians wield power, but you, Leo, you have the power. And you might not get as much popularity as Aquarius, but you are circulating amongst some very powerful people, or relatively powerful people. In your case, I did talk about you coming into your power with the, with the previous reading. I did tell you that you were going to come into your power this month. But what I see for you is you being the power of the power. But that's what Leos always were. You were always the power of the power. You were never the one that wielded it. You were the one who made the final decisions, and then the people around you, the managers, you got your Caps, your Aquarians, even your Cancers, they're the ones who are executing your decisions. But it's always been you that held that internal power, and now you're standing in it. Sure, you will not be alone for the first half of February, but there's a streak of independence that wasn't there before. Now, the thing that Leos normally do is they act independent, but they're not really. There's none of that in the first half of February. You're independent and you're very self-assured, and you don't need people like that at this point. You feel like you really don't need people. You can empathize because we've got the Father of Baskets here. You can empathize, you can demonstrate wisdom, you can be there for them when they need you to be, but you don't really need them like that. So it feels like you're actually surrounded by people who need you and don't know it. Whereas you are you're very self-sufficient. You've got everything that you need financially, emotionally. It feels like at this moment in time, you are all you need. And the other people around you are just these really wonderful people to spend time with. They're not essential to you. And I know it sounds really cold-blooded, but it's better this way to have a certain amount of detachment, because then you can actually, ironically, it's only when you're a little bit detached from your relationships emotionally that you can truly enjoy them. And I feel like that's what's going on, Leo. There's a detachment from your relationships emotionally. And ironically, it's because of that your friendships are strengthening, that your love life is banging. Listen, when I say your love life is fucking banging, your love life is kicking, your career is kicking. Like, there are so many good things that are happening to you. And ironically, it's because you've taken a step back emotionally and detached yourself. Now you can actually enjoy the good times that are coming your way. You can enjoy the company that you keep, because instead of trying to do this performative thing of being the star of the situation, you're sitting back, letting people be themselves, letting people talk, and you're, at most, when you're asked, you're offering thoughtful, emotional nurturing, rather than you trying to steam in and tell everybody what to do. So I feel like Leos, for these first 2 weeks in February, this is when we see the real you come out. And the real you is not this bossy, grandiose person that everybody is familiar with. The real you is calm, collected. You sit back, you let people talk their shit. You're sweet, but you're nobody's fool. You empathize with people, you're emotionally intuitive, and you just sit back and you let people be themselves. That's the real you, because you're way too secure in your own self, and you're way too secure in your knowledge, and you're way too connected to spirit to be over here trying to prove anything to anybody. So it's confidence, but it's a quieter confidence. It's thoughtful, it's devotional, it's lighter, it's not so heavy. And ironically, that's what makes people take to you more. So it's a glimpse of what's to come. And it's great and it's wonderful. So what have I got for the notes for you, Leo? Oh, big shit. Okay, so we've got strong friendships, public speaker, strong long-term success, teaching the teacher, teacher becoming the student, postgraduate studies, teaching leadership and politics, strong and great performances, and winning people over. Like I said before, Leo, you are the power behind the power, okay? The kind of company that you keep are very influential people with a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. And they, in terms of your career and in terms of your finances and in terms of even your love life, they end up doing the hard work for you. And I know it sounds like kind of unfair, but sometimes that's just how these things work, you know. There are people around you who do the hard work for you purely because of your presence and not because of anything that you try to force. So you attract some very influential people into your life without even trying. You kind of, it's weird because you have a Taurus 10th house. And the thing about Taurus is that, from what I know about Taurians, both Vedic and Tropic, is that Taurians tend to collect a lot of influential people. Because their Leo is in their 4th house, they like to be around influential people without necessarily being influential themselves. But ironically, that's kind of what happens to you. It's not that you don't have influence, it's just that you influence the influencers. You teach the teachers. So whatever power you have, it's power that you have. You don't wield it yourself. You just light the way. And that leads to bigger rewards for you. To be honest with you, it leads to bigger rewards for you than if you were to take the spotlight yourself. You're like, no, other people have got this, it's cool. And there's an emotional maturity in both these cards that are being expressed. There's an emotional maturity that Leos are carrying for these 2 weeks, and I love to see it. I really, really do. Leos, you're kicking a lot of ass, but the irony is that your foot is firmly on the ground. Like, your foot is firmly on the ground. So you're kicking ass without kicking ass. And I love to see it. So that is for my beautiful, beautiful Leos. And we will talk soon for Maga, Purva Palguni, and Uttara Palguni. I love you, Leo. Bye-bye. Hi Capricorn, this reading is for Uttara Ashada, Shravana and Dhanishta. How you guys doing? So what can we see for you guys? Well, with the 7 of coins for the Hoodoo Tarot and the Judgment card from the African American Tarot, what I can see for you guys is a pause in the action. Forgive me. It's a time for careful reflection, especially as the next 3 months for many Capricorns is going to be very, very busy. So there's a lot to organize, there's a lot to plan, there's a lot of final details to iron out, but it feels like you're sowing the seeds for something. Now, you're not the only one who has a 7 of coins. Who else has a 7 of coins? Pisces has a 7 of coins as well. So both you and Pisces are kind of building something. You're setting something in stone. You're building a foundation for something. Only in your case, it's much more to do with business than it is to, than it is to anything involving activism. Although there is some activism involved in what you do, that's not the entire story. It's actually more likely to be business-minded than anything else. I feel like there are certain people who, you're starting to notice that there are certain people who are showing up time after time after time, and you have a feeling that you might want them to be more included in what you do because they show up so much and so frequently for you. It's not a good idea for now. Give it time. But this person is going to be integral to your success at a later date, just not now. Now's not the time. So yeah, there is somebody who repeatedly shows up, somebody who's reliable, somebody who just keeps coming back, keeps coming back. They stick by their promises. They're people of their word. And yeah, you're absolutely here for the enthusiasm, and you're here for what they bring to the table. So there are people who are willing, but not necessarily that strong business-wise anyway. And then there are people who are strong, but who are trying to, as much as they can, put a dampener on what you're trying to accomplish. I did tell you back with the Uttara Ashada reading that you would be subject to people trying to undercut you, or trying to bring you down, or trying to, make sure that you don't succeed in what you're doing because they're threatened by you. I did say that there would be elements of that. And those themes repeat themselves because whilst you're not as powerful as some of the people that you're up against, those same people are actually very, very scared of what you have to bring to the table. Because what you're doing business-wise is so important. It could start something big. And the people that don't want you to succeed, they can see that. They can see that you're about to start something big. And they don't want that for you. So they're trying to hold you back as much as possible. Luckily, you're pragmatic enough and you're mature enough to kind of see through this and be like, okay, I see what you're doing. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I have things to do. And if you're getting in the way, then I haven't got any use for you. And the determination that you display at this point, it is almost ruthless. But it's necessary to be that way with people who hold the power and are attempting to abuse it in order to stop you from doing what you need to do. That type of ruthless, I don't care how you feel, I'm going to do this. It's kind of a necessary ruthlessness that you have to embody at this moment, and you do. You know what needs to be done. You've got, you know what needs to be done. You've got all your cards on the table in your private life anyway, and you know exactly what you're doing and when. So this is a preparatory period for a very busy few months. You're checking everything twice over, thrice over if you have to. You're not allowing anybody to derail you, and that's probably the best part of this. Okay, but it's a difficult balancing act. It's not a difficult few months. It's actually quite an enjoyable few months. But like I said, the people who are willing and on your side, they're not that strong. Not yet. When they reach a certain amount of strength, don't forget about those people, because those same people who were willing but not strong, when they reach a certain amount of strength, they're going to remember you. When they do, be prepared. Be prepared, because with people like that on your side, baby, listen, that will even out the playing field in a huge way. So there are people right now who are willing but not strong, but they will become very, very strong in the future, and they're going to remember you. So hang on to them. And as for those who are stronger than you but trying to abuse their power, see it for what it is. Them being scared as shit. You're building something important. You're building the foundation for something important. Keep going and keep at it. But now let's look into the notes for you guys. Let's look into the notes for Cappy. So what we've got for you is we've got solitary businessman, research, smooth talking politics, long-term vision, power struggles. Yep, that's highlighted. Well, in my mind, not on the page. And then there's gardener and truth seeker. It feels like you've been asked to do something, but there's more to the situation than meets the eye. So you're backing away and you're keeping your distance. And that's probably the wisest thing that you could do, because there are some people who might ask you to do something and they're very unscrupulous in their aims. And you don't want to be victim to that, Cappy. You really don't. So it's it's a good month for you, and it's a good couple of weeks for the first 2 weeks of February, but be on your guard. That's all I'm saying. Be on your guard and be very careful about the company you keep. In fact, the more you work on your own on these final details, the better off you'll most likely be, because you're the only one who knows what you are doing. So That was for the Cappies. That was for Uttara Ashada, Shravana, and Dhanishta. I love you so much, my Cappies. Bye-bye. Okay, Aquarian crew. This is for Dhanishta, Shatabisha, and Pavabhadrapada. How are you guys doing, Aquarius? Okay, so for you guys, I've got the Mother of Coins, which is from the Hoodoo Tarot. And I've got the Hierophant card from the African American Tarot. So what can we get from these cards right here? Well, before I even looked at the notes, before I even started looking at them, the first thing that came to mind was you utilizing what was around you, you making the best of what you have in the moment, rather than adhering to any idealized version of what morals and ethics are supposed to be. And I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but the kind of mindset that you're working with is not that of we should be better. What you're kind of working with here is, yes, we should be better, but this is how human beings are, and in order for them to reach one place, the better place, we have to meet them where they're at. So if you have any disagreements professionally or in your work, or in some cases in your activism, then your inclination won't be to dig your heels in the ground. Far from it. Your inclination will be to work with people to see, where their true intentions are, and working with those true intentions in order to realize a higher goal, not only for yourself but for the people around you. So right now, you're another sign who is operating on this egoless, on a sort of egoless vibration here. It's entirely without ego. You're another one who's like, you know what, I know what I prefer to do, I know what I'd want to do, but this isn't about me. Which really reveals to me that you may be doing something for charity like Pisces is doing. You may be doing something politically active like Pisces is doing. You might be engaging in something that is to do with the greater good of humanity, and therefore you're taking your own ego out of the equation. Only, unlike Pisces, Aquarius, you are listening. You are already listening. You are already, you have a very fixed idea as to what you want. Please don't get it twisted. You may exhibit some domineering qualities when you're not careful, but for the large part, you are listening, and you're listening well. You're listening to people. And you're taking what you've learned or what you've heard, and you're turning it into something that everybody can use. You're turning it into something that everyone can gain from. And I feel like that's something that we all need to do at this point. I feel like that's something that we all need to do, even though it's a number 7 year and minds are kind of cracking open right now. So yeah, so that was for my intuitive reading into the situation. Now from the notes, I've got outdoor projects, farming, preacher, selling a spiritual belief, celebrant, practical choice, common sense, caring and loving boss, schools, institutions, and church, temple, chains, and sex. Not sex as in sex, but, religious sex, right? So I've got all that for you. So you, Aquarius, are the star of this situation. You're the leading light, which is kind of fitting, seeing as we've got Danish the Sun coming around on the 13th of February. So you're kind of the star of the show at the moment. But again, you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about what's best for everyone else. So you are the one that everyone listens to, because you are the one with the real plan. You are the one who is listening to spirit And for that matter, listening to women. You are the one who is listening to what isn't being listened to, and you're the one who's actually making plans based off what you hear from people whose voices are not normally that respected. So you're taking those considerations and those voices and you're applying it to a situation where people might feel differently to the femmes in your life, but it's like you're taking something from two different places and you're bringing them together in order to get people working with one another. That's why people fucks with you on some real shit, Aquarius, because you're always doing stuff like that. Like, you're not good at apologizing and you're certainly not good at admitting when you're wrong, but what you are good at doing is bringing people together and, you know, and kind of leaving your own ego out of the equation when it comes to the greater good of something. That's why people fucks with you, Aquarius. That's why people like you. You know, because when push comes to shove, it's not about you. And I admire your sign for that. Your sign is amazing for that. And I especially love that in Vedic Aquarians, because Vedic Aquarians, especially if you're both Vedic and Tropic Aquarians, baby, you wrote the book on selflessness. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it personally, Aquarius. You're the North Star that we should all follow when it comes to how to live our daily lives in accordance with our deeper ethics and morality. So yeah, Aquarius, you're doing it big, man. You're doing it real big. So that was for Aquarius. That was for Dhanishta, Shatabisha, and Pavabhadrapada. I love you, Aquarius. Bye-bye. Hi, Libra. This is for Chitra, Swati, and Vishaka. Are you guys doing okay? Are you well, Libra? I hope so. Because the first half of this month is bringing quite a few wonderful things for you. So the first card we've got is the Mother of Sticks, which is the Queen of Wands in the Hoodoo Tarot. And we've got the Five of Sticks in the African American Tarot. Now, normally the Five of Wands can be kind of problematic. I say kind of because it usually depicts toothless opposition or people that are not really against you, but they're against your ideas, like that type of shit. Or if they are against you, then you know, their bark is worse than their bite, that type of energy. But all I can get for you is strength, good opportunities coming, your investments. If you've been making any investments, those are paying off big time. Okay. And I see you dedicating yourself entirely to your joy. And I don't care in which area of life it is. It could be career, it could be love, it could be relationships, it could be literally anything. But what I see for you is you being intensely focused on your joy and you kind of becoming a strong, independent person because of the joy in your life. Now, this is both masculine energy and feminine energy. There's strong independence. It does not have a gender. But I do see that you have a certain assurance and confidence that maybe wasn't there before. Opportunities for your vocation, opportunities for your career, even just traveling opportunities for your life in general come into play here. So you're being inundated with amazing opportunities at this moment, Libra. You've got so much going for you. And I feel like it does have something to do with, it has something to do with media. It has something to do with media. Let me just look at the notes. Yeah, because I see the notes. It is something to do with media. There is it's something small in terms of the media opportunity that you get. Like for some of you, it's a small thing. It's not a big deal. But that small thing leads to a huge thing, because even though you don't appeal to the masses, you do appeal to very influential people. And that gets you places. Especially when you stand up to them. Especially when you're like, no, I'm not going to take your shit. I'm sorry, but I know my worth and I know what I'm capable of. And I'm not about to let you talk down to me as to what I should expect from you or what. No, I know my worth. I know what I'm capable of. I know what my talents are. You're not about to down me. Maybe the Five of Wands could represent those people who understand that you work hard, but they're like, oh, I don't know if it's quite for us. So they might look down on you just a little bit. But you're over here like, no, I know what I'm worth. So if you don't want to take what I provide, you don't have to. But what you're not going to do is sell me short. Because I know what my worth is. I know what my talents are. I know what I'm capable of. I know that when I walk into a certain room and discuss my expertise, I know I'm going to go in there and fucking crush it. So you can't tell me anything. And I feel like it's that at that moment that people realize, okay, this person's serious. We can use them, or we can ally ourselves with them. You see, people are about to see, Libra, for these first couple of weeks, that you're serious about what you do, and you're serious about who you are, and you're not about to tolerate anybody taking you for a joke or treating you like fool. You're not here for that nonsense at all, and people respect that. And they will gravitate towards that, and they will use you and realize, hold on, this person's on the level, like they really know their shit. For some of you Libras, your confidence is justified. Some of you need to charge more before you even think about going into business. If there are those of you starting out that are getting ready to go into business, before you even think about going into business, charge high. Charge high and then offer deals or some shit. Like, make you have to be on the level when it comes to your business sense. Charge more because you're worth it. If you're good at something, don't do it for free, and don't do it for anything close to free. So charge more for your services. If you provide services, for customers, or if you're in work, ask for that promotion and ask directly. Don't ask like you're being a burden, because you know exactly what you bring to the table. Okay. So for the notes, I've got taking a stand in business. That's highlighted. Also put a pin in artist. And for the rest, we've got fast-paced entrepreneur, traveling business, success in competitions, business rivalry, media event, copyright, and competitive leader. So protect your intellectual properties. The air signs are having a bit of trouble with people that are just trying to rip off them. They're having a bit of an issue with that at the moment. I did a reading for Gemini today, which is on the 3rd as I'm filming this. I did a reading for Gemini, daily reading, that said, watch out for your intellectual properties. And I feel like I need to remind you of the same thing, Libra. For these couple of weeks, keep a very close eye on your intellectual property. Keep a very close eye on anybody who tries to steal what you've got going on. Okay? Very close eye on it. So, consult legal advice first, but make sure you don't allow anybody to try to come up in here and take what's yours, Libra. So that was for Libra. That was for Chitra, Swati, and Vishaka. I love you so much. So much, Libra. Keep doing your thing. Bye-bye. And last but not least, we have Scorpio. How are you guys doing? This is for Vishaka, Anuradha, and Jeshta. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Cups, otherwise known as the Son of Baskets, in the Hoodoo Tarot. And we also have the Magician card from the African American Tarot. Now, what can this tell us about the first 2 weeks for Scorpio? I can't lie to you. It feels like you guys are on a similar trajectory to Scorpio, Sagittarius. it's less intense for you. It's more inwardly focused, but you're definitely making power moves at this moment for the first 2 weeks of February. Once again, this is just a glimpse as to what's to come in your life. So yeah, you are going to be coming into your power. And I got to warn you guys, you may end up getting more attention than you're used to. I would be prepared for that, okay? It's good attention, but for somebody as private and as guarded as your sign, it might be a little bit of an issue. My suggestion is to hang around people that you can truly trust. Don't hang around people that you can't be yourself with. Don't hang around anybody who's just going to mindlessly agree with you. But at the same time, also don't hang around people who are just going to be cunts to you for the sake of it. Although you usually don't need any help in cutting such people off. But it's just you need a good, balanced, solid amount of friends, like maybe 5 friends at most. You know, especially as you elevate in the ranks socially and in terms of your career. Your love life is heading the same way as well. Like for somebody else, I got this too. There is a sense of leveling up on all levels of your life, and not just your career, but in your love life as well. And when that happens, you'll need those grounded friends to keep you level and to keep you on the straight and narrow, because these romances that are being attracted into your life. Oh no, I got this for Leo. But in your case, you are the big roller. You're not the one who attracts them. You are the so-called celebrity in this case. So it's like you attract people who are attracted to your shine, who are attracted to your, you know, the glamour that you put forward and the allure that you put forward. You attract people to you that want a piece of that. And ironically, those people who see you shine, actually not all of them are lacking sincerity. Quiet as it's kept, not all of them are lacking sincerity. It's just that they have certain requirements that want, to meet in love, and you at this moment in your life, you fulfill those requirements for a few people. So that makes you attractive to quite a few individuals who want to get to know you more, because they've seen you at your best. They've seen you shine. They see you take center stage and do it effortlessly. So they want to know who that person is. So in your romance, it's elevated. In your career, it's elevated. You're the star. You're shining. You're glowing. You're the one attracting all the attention. So of course, your love life is going to have a few more options than normal. That's why you need those friends to keep you grounded. Like I said before, that's why you need those friends to keep you grounded and to keep you on the straight and narrow. Because there's every risk of getting carried away with this new success, or conversely, feeling utterly repulsed by it. Because Scorpios are actually quite private and they don't like all that shit. They don't like all that, people fawning over them and all that nonsense. They don't like all that. Scorpio, you have to remember your 4th house is in Aquarius. So beneath the so-called domineering attitude, you like people who are, you like people who are libertarians. You like people who are, egalitarian actually is a better word for the kind of people that you want in your life. You like egalitarian people. You don't like people who hog the spotlight. You don't like that shit. You like people who are cool and, you can have a conversation with them. That's the type of people you like. Do you know what I mean? So when you end up getting that attention that your friends and acquaintances don't get, it makes you uncomfortable, because that's not the clique that you associate yourself with. And if you wouldn't associate yourself with people like that, then why would you want to be like that? Why would you want to be a spotlight hogger? But unfortunately, it's something that you kind of have to accept, and you have to learn how to remain grounded without letting it get ahead of you. When it comes to love, date around. Explore your options. You don't have to have it lead to casual sex or anything like that. It doesn't have to be that way. But date around. If you're going to date around. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. And no, that wasn't an error. I meant what I said. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay? So, what can I get for the notes for Scorpio? So, for the notes, I've got success in business, multimedia, talented artist, TV and radio, entertainer, stage, friend from the past re-entering your life. You see that those are the friends you need. And skilled tradition. So even though you work really, really hard, and even though your skills are necessary, for you to advance in your professional life, if you do attract more fame and attention to yourself, it's actually not because of your skills or your hard work. It's because of your presence and your innate qualities. When you're true to yourself, you are an imaginative, creative, abstract thinking person. When you're not trying to be fierce and cold, your mind is like a wonderland. It's like a place where people can escape to. The worlds that Scorpios often create, they often create worlds of escape. And people often want to get lost in the escape that you create for yourself. They want to be there with you and experience that with you. So that's when you're at your best, when you're kind of letting your imagination run riot, and you're light and you're free flowing and you're not so heavy and you're not so analytical. That's why people end up being attracted to you, and that's what leads to you having a stronger career and a stronger love life. It's not because of your actual hard work, it's just because of your presence and what you bring to the table. And your personality, from this fortnight onwards, it will take center stage more and more. Don't get lost in it. Remember your talents and remember your skills, and remember that whilst your personality is rising you up in the ranks, remember that it's your talent that got your foot in the door in the first place. And that's the same with love. It's your innate qualities, it's your personality that got your foot in the door in the first place. It's not the glamour that surrounds you. So yeah, that was for Scorpio. That was for Vishaka, Anuradha and Jeshta. I love you so much, Scorpio. This is going to be a very interesting couple of weeks. Very, very interesting. So I love you guys. Take care. Peace and blessings. Enjoy the ride, but don't get carried away. Okay? I love you. Bye-bye.